Qualifying is done. The field is set. All that stands between us now and the 78th running of the CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa, a 30-minute warm-up session here tonight as the sun starts to set over the Ardennes. Hello, my name is Ryan Marine. Joe Osborne is alongside, getting ready to go in beautiful conditions. As you can see, nearly 26 degrees Celsius. That's right around the 70-degree mark on the Fahrenheit scale if you, like me, are not passable with your centigrade scale. All in all, it's a beautiful day after a little bit of rain showers earlier in the day. Certainly earlier in the week, that was a story for the stop and start qualifying session that we had. We had a Super Pole session earlier today that followed a similar tempo, Joe. But at the end of it, we know what the grid for this edition of this great race will look like here in 2025.
Yeah, it was a hot and fast qualifying, wasn't it? And McLaren on top in the end, and quite clearly top as well. The 59 car, Marvin Kirchhofer, popping in a 15.1 lap to really blow the rest of the field away. So yeah, it was a great Super Pole. All the other cars that weren't involved, and that's a lot of them. There's 55 cars that weren't involved in the Super Pole, being the grid so large, now have their last chance in this warm-up to make sure their cars are in A-OK condition ahead of 24 hours.
It was an imperious lap from Marvin Kirchhofer, giving McLaren its first ever pole in the GT history of this great race. That's on the happier end of the spectrum. On the other end, we also have the race's first casualty. 75 cars, a record, were entered, but no more than 74 will start. One of the cars that took part in Super Pole, Enrique Chavez, that number 34 Valkenhorst entry has been ruled out. A heavy crash for Enrique earlier. The good news is he is okay. He's been debriefing with the team, but the disappointment is palpable throughout the Aston camp.
Yeah, huge loss for them. The chassis completely gone. They can't repair it. They could have potentially sourced a spare one, but the team, knowing that that car wouldn't be in the perfect race condition, thus rendering a good result pretty much impossible, so they've decided to call it a day, shut the garage door, and we're down to 74.
That leaves the defending race-winning crew as Aston Martin's best hope to defend their honor and defend the overall win. Come to you Racing and their trio that won a year ago, they're back intact once again. They will start 8th in the race tomorrow. In total, though, Joe, top 10 saw 7 different manufacturers represented. A bit of an outlier lap from the McLaren, because you look behind that lap from Kirchhofer and everyone's bunched nice and tight together. I think it bodes for a fun 24 hours when we get started tomorrow afternoon. Yeah,
definitely. Obviously 10 manufacturers on the grid, so to have 7 within the top 10 shows the BOP is working well. What is BOP, just in case people are listening for the first time? Balance of performance. How do you make 10 different manufacturers, completely different concept of car, do a similar lap time? Well, we balance it. We can add weight, we can change the ride height, the rear wing angle, how much power, how much torque, many metrics. And this is constantly evolved, and let me tell you, the rumours in the paddock of what the McLaren may get are not looking good for their 24 hours that will start tomorrow afternoon.
Well, as we talked about, we lost this car, the Valkenhorst entry. Aston Martin Enrique Chavez just a little bit wide up and over the curb, and it doesn't take much around this place to have a pretty dramatic accident, and that's unfortunately what we saw for Enrique earlier today.
Yeah, you're looking at exit speeds of 160, 170 kilometers an hour there. So as soon as he dropped it on the gravel, the car looped around. No amount of car control was going to stop him going onto the grass, into the gravel, and then into the wall ultimately as these cars flood out. Just with the sort of unique nature of how close Super Pole is to this warm-up, some of the Super Pole participants telling me they're trying to get out for this final check, but they're struggling to get the cars in their sort of perfect position potentially.
How do the teams then approach this warm-up session when you've got crews of 3 or 4 drivers? Only 30 minutes. These are long laps around this place. Lose a lot of time going through the pit lane as well, so it's not like you're going to cycle the entire crew through the car.
No, exactly. If the car's perfect and the team are happy, you'll just send one driver out just to check everything's okay. No rattles, no noises, all the pressures, all the alarms, all the telemetry is working. As we get this amazing drone shot looking through Pouin, you can see Le Camp in the back. That's the highest point of the circuit, then they fall down there. If the car's not in a good place, you'll run all 3 drivers through it, 4 drivers for some of the crews screws as well, just to make sure everything is okay. Maybe just finishing off bedding some brakes, so the disc and the pads, just getting them done, because there is a technical pit stop that all teams will have to do where you change both discs and pads, and they will want to be fully bedded, ready to go, because they are getting put in mid-race.
Yeah, that comes at a prescribed point during the race after 11 hours, and before the end of the 22nd hour, you must take that 5-minute technical pit stop. Every car in the field abides by those same rules. That's something that went into the regulations, about a decade or so ago. It's a strange day in a lot of respects, Joe, because over the past couple of days, there's been quite a bit of track activity. If you were one of the 55 cars that weren't involved in Super Bowl, then, you've been sitting around all day, and then you get 30 minutes in the car, and that's just about it here today. Well, with only one driver in the car, let's hear from some of the others down in the pits.
Chris, here we are in Spa, and what a Spa weekend this is turning out to be. Talk me through what the strategy is for this warm-up session for you guys.
Well, we've made some minor adjustments to the setup just to see if we can make the car a bit more compliant for race pace. That's the main thing. So Eddie's going to do some driving now. I'm going to jump in and just make an assessment on the car if there's improvement for the race.
And I mean, we've seen that the conditions can be completely insane. Anything can happen throughout the race. How's the car handling the conditions so far?
Yeah, it's been okay actually. When we've had those instances where we've had to put wets on and the car has been in its sort of dry setup, it's not been terrible. I mean, that's always, this race, you've always got to have that in mind. Ultimately, you're never guaranteed like one condition. So that's always in the back of our minds, to have something that's a easy race car in as many conditions as possible. So that means a bit of a compromise kind of everywhere, but ultimately that's the direction we want to go in.
You certainly look very comfortable during your session. Fastest Ferrari driver. It's not bad going for this point of the weekend, is it?
Yeah, I was very happy with that. I mean, I was quite lucky to get a good gap in qualifying. I didn't have much traffic like others did, so managed to get a lap in, which I think was very important, and just ultimately luck was on my side. But yeah, it was a nice feeling, a nice build up to the race. Very
nicely done. Thank you.
Thanks to Alex Legui for that down in the pit lane. Good to hear there from Chris Froggatt, who's joined by Eddie Cheever III, Jonathan Wee, and Lorenzo Patrese coming in to join the lineup here at Spa. Got to thinking, when you hear the names Cheever and Patrese, those are two big names from the 80s and 90s in Formula One, and I suspect their two fathers would have gone wheel to wheel a time or two in the F1 days.
Yeah, I remember Eddie Cheever III's dad, so Eddie Cheever Jr., doing Spa 24 Hours United Autosports back in the early sort of 2011, 2012 era. But yeah, they would have been toe-to-toe in F1, so that's cool to see their sons in the same car. I'm sure they're proper karting dads. That Mercedes really bouncing under braking there, looking very under damp. So obviously you've got the springs pushing the car up and the dampers trying to control that, but looking particularly happy under braking there. And that's the worst thing you want as a driver, is a car that's been really well balanced all weekend, and suddenly go and warm up and you go, something's not right, and then you look at the clock and go, got 25 minutes to fix this for 24 hours of racing coming up. But yeah, interested to see if they will box and make a change on that car.
It's the strangest thing, because especially with a package like the Mercedes, it's tried and true around this place. These teams know them so well, but things like that can pop up late in the going. We're watching one of the Mercedes make its way around the track. Maxime Martin, very impressive in qualifying earlier today, and a chance to hear from him now.
Maxime Martin, great Super Bowl earlier today with P3 for the race tomorrow. Tell us a bit about this quali lap and the aim of this warm-up session.
Yeah, I mean, it was a nice Super Bowl. For sure, it's always nice to be able to drive on a free track on his own, which with this amount of cars is difficult. So always nice, a good quali lap. P3 is good. So, but now we have to work on a good race car. It's a long race, 24 hours, so it's still a long way to go.
Un petit mot en français, évidemment, vous roulez à domicile, Maxime, ce week-end. C'est pas passé très loin pour la pole position. Vous auriez pu refaire votre pole, en tout cas celle dont vous aviez hérité en 2018. Vous roulez pour un team belge à domicile, c'est toujours un peu spécial.
Ouais, c'est vrai que c'est très spécial. Après, c'est vrai qu'il y a eu des conditions un peu changeantes. Donc au début de la Super Pole, c'était encore... D'ailleurs, il y a une Aston Martin qui est sortie, donc c'est un peu plus tendu. Mais après, comme je dis, la pole, c'est bien. Mais c'est surtout qu'il faut surtout essayer de gagner la course.
Merci Maxime.
good to hear from the Belgian veteran. This track means so much to him and to his family. Heard David talking about it earlier today. Father and uncle both race winners in this event, as is Maxime himself. And he very much is part of Mercedes' spearhead here this weekend as they go for overall honors in this great race once again. Right now, plenty of Mercedes company right behind the car that Maxime qualified in Superpole, currently driven by Maxi Getz. Car also shared with Michael Grenier, and right now that car giving way as the 48 man filter windward car comes through down into La Source and back up the hill once again to start another lap.
Here we see Joseph Loke here. That is the pole position car. It was done by Kirchhoffer, but Loke's been very quick and he's done a purple Sector 1. Yes, it's only warm-up, but this is a chance just to make sure everyone is happy with the balance. So I'll be surprised if Kirchhoffer gets back in this 59 car, the sister car just in front. That's the 58 car. So Garrett Triffione have been quick all weekend across all three cars. So I think they're on for some good class results, all three cars in different classes. So they could potentially win 3 separate classes out of the 5 on offer here.
Loke, another one of these impressive youngsters that showed on the single-seater ladder, and for whatever reason, whether it's finances or opportunity, whatever the case may be, saw a career path in GTs. And this has been a trend, I would say, Joe, in the last 10, 15 years, maybe even further back, where young drivers increasingly see this kind of racing, GT racing, endurance racing more generally, as a way to be a paid pro and make a career in this sport that has a bit more lasting staying power, let's say, than if you're fully focused on trying to get to an F1 or an IndyCar.
Yeah, totally. It's a huge avenue. It's a bit of a different tact in terms of the car you're driving. Some single-seater drivers can't hack it. They get in it and they're not very good and they have to go back on that single-seater. A huge snap of oversteer for the Audi at the top of Eau Rouge. It was almost like the front was going light and then he had to just put a bit of opposite locking and a huge toe off the the Ziggo Sport. We've been saying that for too many years. The Ziggo Sport Tempesta Ferrari, and Alex Acker gets that move done. Or does he? It's just warm-up, boys, and you can't do much good in warm-up. You can do a lot bad, and yeah, that was hard fought for a warm-up move, that's for sure.
Old habits die hard. I'm right there with you. I have so many years of the Sky Tempesta racing. Ziggo Sport, though, is the branding on the car. Of course, a car with this same branding and pretty much very similar driver lineup also was racing at Le Mans just a couple of weeks ago, but the car going through is actually the pace-setting car of the session thus far, with the German Alex Acker setting the pace here in the early stages of this final warm-up.
Yeah, a really fast lap time as well, 17.8. So it's nice conditions out there at the moment. It's dry, obviously, and it's starting to grip up after all the rain we've had overnight and during this morning predominantly. Track temperature 25 degrees, air at 21. So we're not too far off this being optimum conditions for lap times. This session does come out of their tyre allocation, 30 sets, Superpole excluded from that. So none of them will be using a new set. I'd imagine most are using their dead tyres that they have no use for in the race. So maybe that's an inkling that the Audi is good on its tyre. If they're old tyres, 150 to 200 kilometres potentially on them, and they're able to still put in those lap times, that is a very impressive lap time from the 99 car of Alex Acker.
Yeah, file that away for future reference if that is indeed the start of a trend. I heard you guys talking about this some yesterday, you and David, but the fact that for so many years Audi was the front-running mark in GT3 racing really set the benchmark for the other manufacturers to hit for a very long time, and now you see that program starting to wane. No cars going for overall honors, quite likely, barring some kind of major upset here this weekend, but still within the classes, Audi and several of these teams, this is certainly one of them, Tresor Attempto, but you look at Santilak as well, these are teams that you have to conjure with when you come to Spa.
Yeah, it was sad and strange, surreal. All the S's, not seeing an Audi in Superpole. It was strange, and you said there was 7 manufacturers, and one of them not to be Audi inside the top 10 was something that we're going to have to get used to. Here we see Sven Muller aboard the 96. Speaking with the Rutronic team earlier, they weren't particularly happy with their car. So they've made some changes after Superpole to try and find some performance, particularly in Sector 1. Seems to be working quite nice at the moment. He's all over the back of another Porsche there. Balanced the car okay. And again, just looking from a driver's eye perspective, this balance is what you've got to sit with for 24 hours. You don't want understeer. You don't want snap oversteer. You want a manipulative balance. What do I mean by that? Well, if I've got a bit of understeer, if I trail the brake in, I can get rid of it. If I've got a bit of snap oversteer, I can be smoother on the throttle, higher on the TC, and get rid of it that way. If you've got an inherent driving style that you can't drive around, that's when it becomes a nightmare for 24 hours. And at the moment, those Porsches actually getting held up by the Garage 59 McLaren. I think that's the 188 car there. And actually Sven has fully backed out of it to try and find some space.
Axel Jeffries was able to get by that McLaren. That was the Porsche just up the road, the number 91 Herbert entry. Good to have Axel back as part of one of the endurance lineups here. As you can see, though, that did cost Sven quite a bit of time, but I suppose that's not really what the point of this session is. No one's looking for outright pace at this stage. You kind of mentioned earlier these teams on different programs, but ultimately, what can you learn in conditions like these, which, yes, of course, we'll deal with them at one point or another in the race, but the race will start in much different conditions tomorrow.
Yeah, I'd be telling my drivers if I was the team manager or the race engineer, just go and get behind some cars. How is it in the dirty air? How easy can you overtake one of these BMWs, for example? Because the car's so fast in a straight line, but it's hard to overtake at the end of the straight, of course. So that's really the main learnings you could do as a driver.
When you talk Spa 24, when you talk Belgian racing, you have to talk WRT. And of course, big part of that WRT team is the Weerts name. Charles Weerts is standing by down in the pits. Let's hear from him now.
Charles, you're a little frustrated about earlier's session, but the race is long. What can you do, and what's your strategy during this session? What do you most need to learn, I guess, from this warm-up?
Yeah, so now the warm-up is really the last time where we can test things on our car. As you rightly said, we are not 100% happy about our car at the moment. We are still a bit struggling, especially compared to the other BMWs. So we still have some work to do. So now we put Kelvin in a car for 30 minutes and see how it looks like. At the moment, he sounds pretty happy, which is a good sign. But yeah, we still have some work to do.
Come the race, how will you split it between you? Sorry. Will it be equal?
Yeah, for the race, so I will see what we can do, but it's going to be Kelvin who should take the start normally. Then we will see just how the race goes. You know, we always have plans, but at the end of the day, it's a race and things never go to plan, so let's see how it goes.
What are you learning? Like, where are the car's strengths? So you're going to be busy doing the rain dance. Like, would it play into your favor if you had a little bit of jeopardy thrown in there, or do you need to be dry?
I think we have more chance to win in the dry. We know our M4 is really good in those conditions. The Mercedes and other brands are really good in the mixed conditions, so that's the one we are not hoping for. So either we want monsoon rain or we want a dry race. But since 2019, I think I never drove under a fully 100% dry race here in Spa. So maybe this year will be the first time.
All right, best of luck. Thank you.
Alex with Charles Weerts, and I will say, I've been here 4 times, and I've never gone without getting rained on at one point or another during the race. I suppose there's a first time for anything, but good to hear from the reigning Intercontinental GT Challenge champion of a year ago, runner-up at Bathurst earlier in the spring. To come to Spa, though, and to see a forecast that has held pretty firm over the last week or so without much rain, if any, in the forecast during the 24 hours, that is a rarity.
Yeah, they said it wasn't going to rain today, and it's rained 5 times.
That's true.
So, yeah, we have the microclimate here. We go on and on about it, but it's a real thing here with the forest all around us. The humidity builds, and then it suddenly breaks, and it can break on half the track, quarter of the track, one corner. So as a driver, you're really on the frontier, feeding the data back to the team, whereas most circuits, the weather radar is so good these days, the teams are telling you as a driver where the rain is coming and when, whereas here it is role reversal.
14 minutes to go in this final warm-up session before the race, which starts tomorrow afternoon. Keeping an eye here on Maximilian Paul, part of the Paul Motorsport Lamborghini entry, Gold Cup entry for this team. John Paul Southern Jr., Marzio Moretti, and Robin Rogalski the rest of the driving talent aboard this car. Haven't really been talking too much about Lamborghini, quite frankly, in the build-up to this race, but you look at some of their driver lineups and you have to believe that before it's all said and done, they're likely to be in the conversation.
Yeah, it's a fast car. It's got the lap record in qualifying and in the race here last year. Yes, the circuit was much faster last year, so I don't expect it to be beaten this year, but that car is quick over a lap. It's had its reliability issues, but we have seen some teams, Barwell for example, have had great reliability with their Lamborghini here, so the car can do it. It just hasn't done it yet. And is this going to be its last chance? Obviously it gets replaced, the Huracan Evo 2 next year, so this is its swan song Spa in its current guise.
I know this is one that means a lot to Lamborghini. It has really from the inception of their GT3 program. They've been trying to add this one to the trophy counter, and you look at what they've done around the world. The car's had success in the States in long-distance races over there, so you're right, it's a package that is capable of doing just that.
I actually forgot I was on the class podium here in Pro-Am in a Lamborghini with Barwell in 2015, so I do know it can do 24 hours. That would have been a better reference, wouldn't it? I remember that now, and yeah, it was a great car. That was the first iteration of the Huracan, and we pounded around for 24 hours without any issue.
You made reference to the track record that Frank Pereira set in qualifying a year ago for this race, and that came on the heels of a major repaving process around this track. 1 year on, how much has this track surface evolved? And when you talk to drivers who've been out on the track, or if you've been out yourself, where is the change the most pronounced?
It's lost 90% of that new tarmac grip now, so there's some benefit to it, but in another year it'll be back to how it was 2 years ago. And yeah, you just get that sweet spot when it's new, and it looks fast. It's jet black. You can see the grip, you can see the tar, and the tires just stick to it, and it means you use less steering lock. Some corners that were just a bit of a lift are easy flat. Eau Rouge is still easy flat for most cars, apart from the Mercedes, is what I'm hearing. Some wet tyres on that CSA McLaren, that I assume is just a pit stop practice, and they haven't got any slicks they're willing to put on that car. But yeah, the tarmac is in good condition, but not anywhere near as fast as it was last year.
When you come to a newly resurfaced track and you know you've got a window to set a time that might stand as the track record for a number of years, is that motivation? Do you feel a little bit of pressure to try and go and set that mark?
Yeah, I guess you've got a small window, haven't you, when you do your track walk and you go around and the soles of your shoes are sticking. You're like, this can be fast, boys. This can be real fast. And the big headache there was actually the tyre pressures, because there's so much more energy in it. You want to run lower tyre pressure for performance, but then the physics of it mean it fails, so then you need to go higher. So yeah, it does add some problems, but not really to a driver. That's an engineer problem, and I walk away at that point.
10.5 minutes left here in warm-up. Watching the Come To You Racing team. We talked so much about WRT being the hometown team, but how about this Belgian squad? Relatively new to GT racing, and to come out and take the victory overall as they did a year ago. Admittedly, with a bit of an assist in the pit lane. Who can forget the moment where the pit lane was blocked, their nearest competition couldn't find its way through, and that helped open the door for Marco Sorensen and the rest of that crew, Mattia Drudi and Nicky Tim, the other two drivers, to come through and get that famous win. Big for Aston Martin, huge for the team, and very popular here amongst the Belgian racing fans.
It was a huge win for that 007 car, the lead car in this Come To You battle, coming through the last corner. Sorensen leading Almeida here, and actually Almeida looking pretty quick in that 270 car. Sorensen, we don't know the tyres are on, but you'd expect that gap to be growing, and if anything, it's gone the other way. But they're not really looking for pace or performance here, considering that lap was good enough for 58th place for the 270 car. So we've got the 60 car here looking ready to leave. We've got quite a few cars in the pits at the moment, and most cars have really just circulated the single driver at the moment. Huge snap of oversteer there for the 57 car through Brussels.
A peek here at the number 57 entry, which right now is being driven by Philip Ellis, a winner in the gold class here in this race 1 year ago. What a season he had last year. You look at the races that he won, and it's almost like a career worth of accomplishments piled in to a single season. Last year, 24 Hours of Daytona class win, 12 Hour of Sebring class win, 24 Hour of Spa class win, won a championship as well in IMSA over in the States, won a number of races in GT World Challenge America last year too. When you put a year together like that, you kind of have to pinch yourself, right? Because you can go a whole career, as I say, decades without winning more than a handful of these races, maybe none of these races, and he was able to do it in a calendar year.
Yeah, impressive. He missed 4 apexes in one sector on this lap, however, though, so he's got not a very well-handling car, I must say. It looks lively underneath him. You can see that McLaren has pulled away, and yes, that's the 59 car, the quickest car in qualifying, but yeah, looking inwards at that 57 Winwood car, it doesn't look like it's a particularly nice car to be driving right now.
Well, the remarkable thing about the man driving it at the moment is he came to this with no connections to motorsport. He literally Googled racing teams and sent out a bunch of cold emails, I guess you'd call them, and finally was able to get connected with a karting team that said, all right, fine, we'll let you tool around in a kart for a day, and he was awfully impressive. And from those modest beginnings, has launched a career that has netted him Mercedes factory driver status, won another 12 Hours of Sebring earlier this year, and the accolades just keep on coming.
It's a good battle here, isn't he? You can see the effect of the slipstream. Looks like they might go 3 wide. Is he going to want that position through the middle? He thinks better of it. He's just trying to find a gap through, following McLaren through there. Nicely done. But yeah, shows hard work and determination, and cold corning, never stop knocking. Someone's got to open the door at some point, I guess.
That was definitely his thought process, and it's paid dividends for the driver who sometimes you'll see listed as Swiss, sometimes German, sometimes British. It's kind of fascinating background with parents from different places and moving around quite a bit.
Guess it depends how much tax he wants to pay.
I suppose there's an element of truth to that. You know, other thing is he loves Diet Coke.
Wow, that's a good stat.
Yeah, you know, in this day and age when everyone is focused on eating healthy, drinking healthy, you'll rarely see him without one in his hand on a race weekend.
Okay. I think a lot less of him now, unfortunately. And
it hasn't slowed him down at all. That's right. Exactly so. In just a moment, he went past Ian James in the CrowdStrike sponsored entry. Ian back once again, a defending class winner. In fact, of this race a year ago as well. Mercedes so strong over the years with this car. It's amazing to think this Evo is now going on half a decade of service. The original car, I think, debuted in 2017, and still the Mercedes AMG GT3, new cars come and go, but the old warhorse still has some fight left in it.
Yeah, beautiful engine as well, naturally aspirated. So sometimes easier for a driver without the turbo, especially in different weather conditions. As he's practicing his pit entry, you've got to push all the way to this first line, then get down to 50 kilometers. And you are going to take 71 seconds to drive all the way through the pit lane here, because it's 994 meters long. I've got no idea what that is in yards. Unfortunately, I'm sure you'll know.
I do not off the top of my head, but there's a handy-dandy thing called the internet, so we can look that up before it's all said and done. This is some traffic here to contend with as some of the top cars come through. Maximilian Paul, second fastest in this session so far. So a silver class car leads overall, then a gold class car, then Mathieu Jaminet in the fastest of the pro entries. But it goes to show all of these classes require you to bring along someone who would fall into the pro category. And because every class runs to GT3 specifications, each and every one of these cars has the capability of going just as fast, depending on who's installed behind the wheel at the moment. Chance to go back to the pit lane. Let's do it now.
Laurens Lesertier, you're one of the Belgian rookies here at the CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa this weekend. You had a big crash last weekend in the French GT Championship here at the Speed Week. How do you feel and how did the week started for you guys?
I don't understand, sorry I don't hear anything. Can you repeat, please?
Yeah, sure. You had a big crash last weekend. How do you feel and how did the week start for you guys?
The start was quite good. I mean, yeah, yes, the last week I had a crash, but I feel okay now. We made the scanner, so nothing else on me. And yeah, for the moment we did the qualifying. We start 36 tomorrow, sorry, P4 civil. So I think it will be a good start for us tomorrow, and I hope to be on the top of the podium silver on Sunday.
Thank you, Lorenz.
Thanks to Janelle for that. Good to hear from one of the up-and-coming stars of the champion. Car slow on track. This is number 66. Right now, the 12th fastest car. So Dylan Pereira, the Luxembourger driver, behind the wheel. And something amiss with this machine, Joe.
Yeah, he's pulling off to one side. I didn't know if I saw a slight puff of smoke out the left rear. So is that a potential puncture? And he's decided to park the car. You've got 3 minutes remaining, so we've got a yellow sector. It could be a good chance for full course yellow on final practice for teams and drivers alike. That left side of the car looked okay when we got the shot of it there, parked up at Speaker's Corner. Some cars already done with their program, happy to go back in the box and try and get these cars prepped as early as possible this evening. It's 8:47 p.m. here local time, so it's already a late work day. That is the motorsport way. You get motorsport hours when you think you've had a hard day. I remember I had an office job and I stayed till 6:30. I'm like, wow, that's long. And then you come back to motorsport. What time did you get out last night? 2 a.m. Yeah, not too bad, thanks. It's yeah, a different kind of world, motorsport, and the hours it demands of all the team personnel.
Doubly so, though, for the guys turning the wrenches. I'm always amazed at what race teams can do and what the mechanics can do in particular on limited sleep. Something goes wrong and they just put their hand up and say, okay, on to the next task, we'll take care of it. I suppose that's what the job description entails. Nevertheless, it's still remarkable to see.
Yeah, coffee and bad language is the way you get through it.
All right, into the final couple of minutes here, Joe. What, if anything, can we take away from this nearly 30 minutes of final practice, or warm-up as it is officially known?
So the big takeaway is obviously the fastest car, that 99 car. I'm super impressed with its pace, and I think that shows us used tyre pace. So if you continue that trend down the top 10, the Audi, the Lamborghini looking very good. There's a few more of them up there than there was in Superpole for comparison, and then the rest of it I don't think we can read in too much, apart from there's only one car with an issue so far.
I'll say this, you look at the top, I think it would be 28 cars are covered by 1.1 seconds. Now, again, what is everyone focusing on here? Who knows? But that is encouraging, I think. If you're looking to see a close race, we have every reason to believe that that's what we're in store for.
Yeah, you go even further down, you got 48 within 2 seconds.
Yeah.
So some impressive numbers there, and the BOP is very good, and I'm excited for the 24 hours we've got coming up. And again, another cliche to tick off early, but we call it a 24-hour race, but it's 24 sprints, and that's all the teams are lining up. I've seen a few of their ideal run plans, and every single one is flat out. There's no calling of the drivers to look after the car, save fuel, save brakes. It's going to be 24 micro battles.
And if that, as a fan, is what you're looking for, this is the rule set for you. It's almost mandated to be that way. You're not having to baby tires. You're not having to baby brakes. There's a brake change built into the regulations. There are tire changes effectively built into every pit stop as well. So if you want to see 74 top-class GT3 teams go at it hammer and tong for 24 hours, I've got good news for you. That's what we're going to get to see starting tomorrow.
Perfect. You can go the onboard here. You can see the driver ID display with the checkered flag. That will show yellow flags, red flags, blue flags, slippery surface flags, warning flags. You think of a flag, that driver display can probably show it. And that's on top of a rear view camera, a normal mirror, the dashboard, all of the lights. So this is where I get on my pedestal and defend the drivers, how much they're going on. And delicate fingers there from Ian James, very nice, just thumbs there. Should see the Audi to the right, it's even gone behind the wall already, or it's got going, so no yellow flag there. But this will be the last chance Ian James will have behind the wheel of this Mercedes before the race. Diving into Pouon, staying in fourth gear all the way there. The torque of this Mercedes tends to be a gear lower than some of the turbo cars, powering all the way through now. Over to the left for Piff Paff, brake under the gantry, down to third gear most probably for the Mercedes, on top of that curb if you can get it there. flick it to the left. This is where we saw Chavez destroy the 34 car, and we won't see them again. Over to the left for Stavelo, short brake, second gear needed, no third gear, happy through that, open the corner up. Just listening, are we flat through here? Just to breathe out the throttle. The problem with the lift there, it now hurts us all the way through Blanchimont, up through the gears. This V8 singing along nicely. And Ian James, I think he'll be happy with that. He was the only driver aboard the 4 car, and he's got it up to 39 for a very respectable time from one of our faster AM drivers.
This is the defending Pro-Am class winning lineup. The entire team back again for another go. George Kurtz, Ian James, Colin Brown, Nicky Katzberg, the 4 drivers. SPS Automotive Performance is the team. That is a change from last year. It was run by the Riley team with some help from SPS last season, but it's all under the SPS banner as they look to go back-to-back in the Pro-Am class. Checkered flag is out. Last couple of times starting to come in. Alex Aka was the fastest in the session, and our very own Alex has been able to run him down. Let's hear from Alex Aka now.
Alex, that was a rather nice session. What did you learn? Good, very good that time.
Yeah, I guess what we learned is we have some pace. Yeah, we have something in the pocket, which is quite nice. The team has been working basically all week long. I think we've done a very good job. Also behind the scenes, I'm very proud of everyone. And fortunately, with the 4 drivers yesterday in quali, we couldn't pretty much show our potential. So we're using the warm-up to show our potential. So yeah, this is what we did.
Okay, so what sort of confidence does that give you going into the race? Are you feeling a lot more that you now have a conversion to race pace?
Yes, we have, and obviously it gives you a boost.
Yeah.
And I'm quite proud of everyone, and also about the situation how it is right now. It's better to always go into a race like that instead of having issues.
Sure.
And now, the only issue we're having is some sleep from yesterday. So I hope we can get some now.
No, you can sleep on Monday or Tuesday.
Let's see.
All right, best of luck. Good stuff.
Yeah, you don't come to a 24-hour race hoping to be rested when you come out on the other side. I think he knew exactly what he had signed up for, of course. That team, part of the family as well there for Alex Aka, who was fastest in the session by 76 thousandths of a second. How close do you like it?
Yeah, tight, isn't it? And hugs all around, because all of those mechanics have put a huge amount of work in. Engine change would have gone on, putting a fresh donkey in the back of that Audi to get it through the 24 hours. And Alex Aka, quite rightly, quite happy with himself.
I should say so. As DeFalco climbs out, he was the last one to be in the car right towards the end of the session. Well, the final on-track running is complete. This is how it wraps up with the 99 quickest of the bunch, fastest of the 74 cars. Did we see all 74 out on track? That becomes a question. We saw at least 70, and there were a handful that did not come out.
70 we saw. We didn't see the Rover 98, the Hubert 92, or the Volkenhurst 34 because it's redrawn, and the 28 Haas RT Audi.
All right, so that could be according to plan, or that could perhaps be a sign that they had some things to work on. We'll do our best to dig into that overnight and come back with some information tomorrow as we look a little bit further down the running order. And again, just a sign of how compressed this field is. 2.5 seconds covers the top 60 cars. And again, from Super Bowl earlier today, 10 cars made it. 7 different brands start inside the top 10 positions for tomorrow's race. And as you can see, 70 cars did turn times of the 74 that we have remaining to us after the withdrawal of Enrique Chavez's machine following his crash in Super Bowl earlier today. Kelvin van der Linde out of his BMW. Very interesting interview, I thought, earlier with Charles Weerts talking about the relative pace of that car, and they very clearly would like to see this be a dry race for 24 hours. Maybe not there at the super sharp end of things in Super Bowl, but there's still reason for optimism, it would seem, in the BMW camp.
Yeah, and just looking at the body language, I weren't particularly happy. Had two of the drivers there, and Will McKelvey, the engineer. So, yeah, I still think there's some work to be done on that BMW to see if they can extract a bit more performance, as we see Pierre Guidi going down pit lane. Drivers now focused on getting out the track, back to their hotel, and trying to get as much sleep as they can. And as a driver, this race was always hard because the start of the race is so late. So actually, I always found I was trying to go to bed as late as I could tonight to try and wake up at 11, half 11 in the morning to try and be more rested for a 4 p.m. start rather than an early night, wake up at 8 a.m. and you still have a huge time before the race has even started. It's a difficult one with a very late start in the afternoon here.
Did you manage to do that? Were you able to fall asleep?
I can't remember, so it must be okay.
Oh, my goodness. Well, good crowd here, of course. They'll need to get their sleep. They'll need to get their rest in as well, with 24 grueling hours coming up tomorrow. Beautiful scenes for the final 30 minutes of track activity here in the Ardennes. Circuit Spa-Francorchamps, one of the iconic circuits anywhere on the globe, and a crucial 30 minutes here for the 74 teams, 70 of which elected to take part in the session to get the cars dialed in, explore the limits of the track one last time, see which curves are usable and which ones will launch you into a bicycle maneuver, as we saw in super slow-mo from the 91. Car 33.3, Maximilian Paul, very impressive with the second best time in that 30-minute session. A couple of teams did have a few little issues. Better to have them now, though, of course, than when it really counts in the race. Good traffic management to contend with. That's going to be the order of the day when the Belgian tricolor flies to start the race. Just after 4 o'clock tomorrow. Sun starting to set as well, giving us these beautiful shots of this iconic circuit. Very close competition as anticipated, and everyone now just looking ahead to the race. Chance now to hear from Porsche factory driver Ayunchan Guven. Ganel is standing by down in the pit lane to hear from the Turkish driver who's looking for glory here at Spa here this weekend.
Ayunchan Guven, driver of the Porsche number 22, the warm-ups almost over. How did it go for you guys, starting from P11 tomorrow?
Yeah, it was quite good session. Klaus was in the car. We did the last checks, and so far, smooth weekend. And yeah, P11, I think it's a good starting position for the 24-hour. I think after 2 hours we will forget where we started, so it doesn't matter. I just need to keep the car clean, and then we see, hopefully Sunday morning, we have a good shot.
After what we can call a frustrating race last weekend at the Nürburgring 24 hours, do you think you've got the weapon for the win?
Yes, I think we have a really good car. Last week we showed it was quite strong, and yeah, for Spa I think also we have a good car, good team, good teammates, so why not?
Thanks a lot, thank you.
It was heartbreak for Guven 1 week ago. Denied a win at the Nürburgring 24 due to a time penalty that handed the win to the Rover BMW. But Guven with Lauren Heinrich and Klaus Bachler here, forming a strong lineup for Schumacher CLRT. So much to look forward to, of course, tomorrow, and the coverage will be here on these same channels. I hope you join us for 24 hours of action here from Circuit Spa-Francorchamps with the 78th edition, the CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa.